Hey y'all, so I realized that I hadn't done a story time in a minute, and I definitely have had one, something that I want to share with you guys on my heart for the past few days. So I'm hoping I can share this with you without being interrupted in any way. Um, the way I've been regulating around this motherfucker, they probably not gonna bother me. There's a good chance that I'm good. Um, Let me just say this. Oh, if it's your first time joining me, my name is Keita. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I substitute. I'm a substitute teacher, as well as running my business, my intuitive wellness practice, Turquoise Majesty. And prior to substituting, I was pretty settled and sold on like I don't care if I ever have kids. It's not a definitive thing for me that I have to have kids. But if I do have kids, then I accept that assignment, and will definitely like give it my all. And accept it as an assignment from God. So I would take it seriously, right? But not feeling like I'm less than a woman if I don't have kids or if I don't get the assignment. And in that same train of thought, I've considered like the school system. And I've been pretty sold on the fact that I wouldn't put my kids in the school system for a long time. And then the opportunity and the circumstance came where subbing made sense. And I started working in the school system. And I'm even more sold. I'm even more convinced. I'm even more standing on business that if I have some babies, my babies ain't going to school. My babies are not getting in the school system. Because so much of what supported my decision prior to substitute teaching has been confirmed. And then I've added to that list of hell no. So we could talk about that another day. I'm just sharing that to lead into what I do want to share is that it ain't been all bad. And especially as a sub, especially being in a teacher position, it has definitely had some major pluses. The way these kids love on me is dope as hell. The way I get to love on them is dope as hell. And so the other day, I'm subbing a class. Like, it was supposed to be my planning period. I wasn't even supposed to be in there, but they needed me to fill in for a first block class. So I go in there, and as soon as I walk in, they like, oh man, we love her. Hey, Miss C. They call me Miss C. We love her. I'm so glad we got Miss C. And so I sit down, put my stuff down, give them my little speech, and one of the young ladies they were talking about how difficult it is to be gay, and like how lesbian relationships are difficult. And I was telling them our relationships are difficult. Heterosexual, homosexual relationship, familial relationships can be difficult. And being in a homosexual relationship comes with a particular set of challenges, along with being homosexual in a world that says that you're damned to hell. And heterosexual relationships has its set of challenges that comes with living in a world that says monogamy is your only option or you're going to hell. So it's a lot to traverse in relationships, period. I'm barely touching the surface, just even bringing this up. But we were having those conversations. And what I typically do is like, I hear the kids talking about stuff, and it be evident that they're kids. They have not had the life experience, the education, the conversations to know different from the perspective that they have. And then, I let them talk and I listen, and then at a certain point I jump in their conversation and be like, well, actually, and they appreciate that. Like, they like that I talk to them about things that for many of them they're not having with their other teachers. Because for one, those teachers have to teach actual curriculum. I ain't teaching shit. I'm teaching life. I don't have to worry about test scores and grades and PTA meetings or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got all this to deal with, so I can have real conversations with them about things sometimes. But the thing that stood out and that shocked me is that one of the young ladies said that, because it was one of the young ladies that said she's gay, and she always calls me Queen. When she see me, she'll say, hey, Queen, how you doing, Queen? And of course, I think that's just dope as fuck, because it speaks to, like, how my energy lands with her. And she's not the only one. And this shit happens at different schools, right? So I think that's dope. I think that says a lot about the student who acknowledges that energy within me as well. But this particular young lady, she was like, damn, what did she say? She said I was gay. Like, she said something that said she just knew I'm gay. And so I didn't stop her in the moment, but because we were talking about something, we was finishing our thought. And I circled back. I said, so you think I'm gay? I said, what make you think I'm gay? And then she was like, I don't know. You just give that you got a stud, that you married, and that you got a stud wife at home that take care of you or something like that. And I was like, I said, that's dope as fuck. I said, I'm not. I said, I am an ally. I think what made her think that is that she's been in a class where I've advocated for, like, we're not gonna say disrespectful shit that may offend a gay classmate, a gay student, a gay person, period. Like, I don't let them do the no homo pause, all that irrelevant, egoic, offensive shit. I don't let them do that in my class. And I've even had some of them, like, if I check them on and be like, hey, be mindful of your classmates, regardless of how you feel about it. Like, watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to change your perspective or how you feel about things. If you feel like homosexuality is a sin or whatever, then your hatred is between you and God. But I am saying that as long as you in my presence, you're going to be respectful. I ain't going to let nobody disrespect you, and you ain't going to be disrespectful. Your views on things is not the overall begin all and end all in this space. It's not in this world. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe she's been around to witness me put my foot down on shit like that, because it happens a lot. So that may be part of the reason why she thought I was gay, because it's like, why the hell else is she speaking up for gay people or taking offense to the disrespect? And I'm not. I'm an ally. I feel like all allies should, if you gonna support, bitch, support. You know what I'm saying? If you feel a type of way and you against it, speak up and say you against it. I treat that shit the same way I would want somebody to treat racism. You know, you white, you say you cool with me and you fool with me, then if you in a room full of motherfuckers who got something negative to say about black people, speak up. You know what I'm saying? Say something. So that's me. So I believe that's why she feels that way, or it's has come to that conclusion. But y'all, when I tell you, like, I was honored. I was like, I'm honored to be gay, to be called gay, to be thought to be gay, and to think that I got a masculine woman at home, which speaks to, like, having someone who has, like, that balance of masculine and feminine energy. Like, I think that's dope as shit. You know what I'm saying? For one, it takes a lot of courage to be gay in this world, or to be queer in this world. And that's something that it led me to really think about too, like the book definition of what it is to be queer, because to be queer is not just to be a part of the LGBTQ community. I actually wrote down the definition. We're gonna get to that in a second. But yeah, I thought that shit was dope as hell. Like it put a smile on my face. I wasn't, and she was like, "I'm sorry." I said, "No, baby, I ain't offended at all." I said, "That's a compliment." Like for whatever reason, I'm honored. I said, "I'm gonna need some time to really think about what about that really is doing it for me right now." But you know, made my day. But I was like, "No, you know, I'm not interested in a romantic relationship with a woman. I don't ever see that changing. And nothing against it. Like, I think it's dope when people do have that interest. I just don't. To be totally honest with myself. But I think, for one, it's important that we're having these conversations with the youth, that we are listening to them, that we are advocating for them, that we are protecting them. One thing about being a sub, I find myself in a position to do that a lot. Like, I find myself counseling in a lot of ways, and advocating for them even against other adults. I'm telling y'all, a lot of these teachers, they should not be fucking teachers. They are control freaks. They are disrespectful. They are denying these children things that they should have access to. So, like, for instance, I got a young lady in my class who, like, she got paperwork that says she's a SPED student. She needs extra attention and assistance with her work. But because the class that she takes with me is at the end of the day, there's a teacher who's dead set against her going to get the help she needs to finish her work. I don't like that shit. I'm about to have conversation with administration about that, because as soon as the girl bring her home bad grades, her people gonna be like, what the fuck going on at this school? Talk to me. Miss C, I tell you, they not letting your baby get the help she need. At least in that class, she not, because the bitch a control freak, and she don't let them kids go nowhere. They can't go to the library. They can't do shit. We had words because she don't want them going to the restroom. I told her, yeah, no, I'm not about to deny these human beings the right to go to the restroom. I said, as a 41-year-old woman, shit, my bladder gonna call me to the toilet 3-4 times within an hour's time sometimes. And some days I may not use the restroom at all until I get home. It differs. I said, but I just can't imagine whether I'm 2 or 22, a motherfucker telling me that I can't go relieve my bladder. I'm not going to be that person. So you run your class how you want to run your class, and I'm going to run my class how I want to run my class, and that's just going to be that. So, matter of fact, she's standing in the highway looking at me crazy now. The fuck you want? Damn. So, anyway, when I tell y'all I don't be studying these people, yo, I do not be studying these people, for real. But I thought that was dope as hell, and I think to be queer, let me get to my notes right quick. To be queer is dope as hell. To have the courage to be queer, because again, it doesn't just relate to being on the LGBTQ plus spectrum in some way. To be different in this world is dope as hell. Like that's such a turn on to me when people have the courage to be their authentic self, no matter how different it looks to other people. It might not necessarily be my cup of tea, you know what I'm saying? It might not be something I want to align myself with in an in-depth personal way, but I still celebrate the fact that you do you, right? So, like, for instance, when men wear fingernail polish, I don't see shit wrong with it. Historically, it was championed as a sign of masculinity, especially when men would go off to war. Now in this day and time, it's looked at as feminine. But if you want to express yourself and challenge societal norms, or you just think that shit look good, then kudos to you. Do I want to date a man? Do I find it sexually attractive if a man has black polish on his nails, it ain't a deal breaker, or polish period. Like, it ain't a deal breaker, but I don't find it sexually attractive. Like, I ain't gonna be, oh, babe, you got your nails done, let's do it. Like, that ain't never did it for me. You know what I'm saying? But there are people in this world that it does do it for, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, the whole interaction with the baby who thought that I was gay made me take a look at the textbook definition of what it is to be queer. There was a lot about being on the LGBTQ spectrum, but it also described it as a personal identity that emphasizes self-definition, freedom, and living outside rigid categories and boxes. Before I dive deep into this, let me just say, for those of you who take issue with being with homosexuality, and you take issue with your children being homosexual, baby, you in for a rude awakening. So many of these goddamn kids are gay. They been gay. They was gay when we was kids. They was gay when our parents was kids and our grandparents was kids. And when Moses was approached by the burning bush. Like, it is what the fuck it is. Get over it. And mind your business. But, like, if you got a problem with it, if you think it's a problem, your problem is getting worse and worse. So you might want to assess yourself, search your heart for how you feel about that type of thing, because there's a huge chance that you are on the wrong side of history when it comes to homosexuality. Now, when it comes to being queer, the more you evolve, you will find that you are quite queer your damn self. And this whole topic, and especially when I found this definition, and it points out how to be queer, emphasizes self-definition and freedom, and living outside rigid categories and boxes. It reminded me of something that I just discovered, which is The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. I had a dream that I was handed a titanium beaded necklace with a ankh on it, but the ankh also had, like, it was part ankh, part, it was like a pendant on a necklace, and it was part ankh, part dragonfly. And I be damned, that same day on YouTube, on my YouTube feed, there was something about the Gene Keys and the dragonfly code and whatnot. So watched it, and it's very much talking about the Gene Keys, or like these keys to unlocking, these keys and codes to unlocking limitations within our DNA, gifts and talents within our DNA, things that need to be healed within our DNA. And the one that's relevant to the dragonfly is Gene Key 55. And the number 5 is all about freedom, right? But in Gene Key 55, like, once you unlock that part of your DNA and do that real healing work, that transmission to activate those parts in your DNA, you free yourself from limiting beliefs and identities and circles and just things that have held you back from expanding and showing up as your authentic self. So I'm gonna share with y'all some of what I found relative to that to close us out. So Gene Key 55 is relative to the dragonfly because of how the dragonfly evolves. Its evolution process. It metamorphosizes just like the butterfly does, right? But in a different environment. So the dragonfly begins its life underwater. For most of its life, the dragonfly is a nymph living at the bottom of a pond in the mud, in the dark, limited in movement and vision. And that's like us. We either are in environments or in mental spaces where it's only so far we can go. It's only so much we can do. It's only so much we can explore, especially if you've grown up in poverty, or if you lived in a small town, or if you've gone through anything that is made you feel like incarcerated in a way to where what you learn and what you express and what you do is limited, because otherwise venturing outside of that won't be accepted by the masses, right? It's not the norm. How dare you step outside of the norm? So that's like, as humans, our pond, our underwater limited experience. But it says this represents our human survival phase: fear, conditioning, inherited beliefs, emotional heaviness, and reactive living. It's life lived under the waterline, instinctual and not conscious. Those are the things and those experiences, our upbringing and otherwise, that has really embedded survival consciousness in us. The transformation happens suddenly one day. Something inside the nymph responds to an inner pull, a biological urge to climb upward. It leaves the familiar water, clings to a reed, and breaks through its old skin. We are currently in and ending the year of the snake, where we've been shedding old skins by way of, and skin being identities, by way of what's been going on with us internally. How we've been becoming aware of ourselves, how our experiences have been holding a mirror to us, how people have been holding a mirror to us, and we've been able to really see how we've been showing up in the world, and some of that shit we not liking. And then there are things we're noticing within us that are dope as fuck, and it's pulling on us to express that, to be that, to embody that. And so that's very much aligned with the way there's an inner pull in the dragonfly to come up for air, from out of that environment, from out of that limited, incarcerated mind state. So it says, this is the moment that Richard Rudd, the author and creator who pretty much downloaded and channeled spiritually this information about the gene keys to share with us as a collective, he calls this the mutation of awareness. It's when our DNA, through awakening, suffering, or breakthrough, pushes us to rise above outdated patterns. This skin shedding that we've been experiencing has not been comfortable. It's the push to rise above the lack of awareness, the lack of consciousness, so that we can be the full embodiment of who it is that we came here to be, who it is that we've always been, without the heavy shit that we've been carrying from lifetime to lifetime, from generation to generation. To be queer as fuck, and it have nothing to do with being necessarily homosexual. You could be a queer heterosexual, just different. So it says the dragonfly emerges into air, its true element. For those of you who are air signs or have strong air placements in your chart, which would be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, you may very heavily resonate with this energy, as we are also entering the age of Aquarius, and Pluto is in Aquarius. Like, it's some major placements astrologically and cosmically as it relates to Aquarius energy. So you may want to look into where you have air in your chart and how the gene key 55 may be relevant to you. But it says, once the dragonfly breaks free, it becomes a creature of light, speed, and 360-degree vision. If you've been on this journey of shedding the skin and you're coming up for air, when you do, your vision, you're going to be able to see things from a 360 perspective and not just 180. You're going to be able to see the totality of your experience, and not only your personal experience, but also what's going on in this world and how shit is relative to each other. And you're going to have forward vision, as well as clarity and vision of how things have transpired in the past and how it's relevant to your Akashic records and your present reality. It's reminding me of that song by Erykah Badu. On and on and on and on. The cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. Is that the song where she? Oh yeah. I was going underwater with $3.06. Yeah, you may laugh, but you did not do your math. That's that 360 circle she's talking about. And so we want to be mindful of that being a part of our journey. In the song, she talked about being born underwater, the experience of having those limits placed upon you, but it's intentional so that you can get that character development and rise up with that 360 vision. So look up the like conscious analysis of the lyrics to On and On, because that was her debut song that made everybody fall in love with her, because she was spitting a whole lot of knowledge and wisdom and gnosis in that song. It's no longer bound by the mud or the water. This symbolizes freedom, the gift of Gene Key 55. If you like me, if you come from similar environments from what I came from, urban, small town, the motherfucking hood, I live between the crack house and the old lady who positioned herself to look like she take care of the community, meanwhile she sell drugs, to the flat out dope boys across the street. No matter who moved out that house or got busted, so another group of dope boys moved in 6 to 12 months later. Like, that's where I grew up at. But if you came up in like similar environments where sex, drugs, and rock and roll was the commonality, poverty was the commonality, then you probably resonate with the concept of getting it out the mud. But you don't have to always live like that. You ain't always got to struggle. You ain't always got to be in survival mode. For many of us, we're being called out of that shit because it is wreaking havoc on our nervous system. So I want to advise that you do work to heal and calm, regulate your nervous system. Here lately, especially when I finish working out, I'll cut on like some nervous system regulating frequencies on my earbuds and sit in the sauna, or just if I'm sitting around the house, I'll have it playing, because it's so important that we regulate our nervous system after having years and generations, lifetimes of living through situations and circumstances that have done massive damage to our nervous system. So that's important. Some of the things that are associated with freedom and the gift of Gene Key 55 is emotional liberation, clarity, expanded awareness, seeing life from a higher perspective, responding instead of reacting, and living from sovereignty instead of survival. Dragonfly consciousness is the human being who steps into their true nature, not trying to be like everybody doing what everybody doing and what's acceptable to everybody, but your authentic queer self. The key message is that we are built for transformation when it comes to this dragonfly consciousness. The dragonfly's entire life story is a metaphor for our emotional evolution. We start in the unconscious depths. We feel the pressure and discomfort. Something inside us says it's time to rise. We shed old identities and illusions, and then we emerge in a completely different reality with freedom, vision, and clarity. Richard Rudd's RUDD point is freedom isn't a choice, it's an evolutionary stage encoded in us. When the pressure becomes great enough, transformation becomes inevitable. That stands out to me the most, because for many of you, you've been under a lot of pressure. But that pressure comes to create the diamond that you are, your multifacetedness. You know, the thing about determining the value of a diamond is color, cut, clarity. Hold on, I'm finna see. Carat. The color being like how colorless the diamond is, or fancy color, like the rarity of the color. The cut, how well it's cut to reflect light. How are you cut? How has your circumstance and your experience shaped you and molded you? Like I tell people, it's a lot of shit out here I ain't cut out for. It's a lot of shit out here that I am cut out for. And one thing that my experience has taught me to date is that I'm cut out to reflect this light. I'm cut out to be a light worker. Like I thrive in this arena. Clarity. How free is it from inclusions or blemishes? That cleansing, that purification, that shadow work, that detox, and that unlocking those gene codes, those gene keys to unlock that which lies dormant within your DNA, that healing from past trauma. That's what gives you more clarity. And then the carat, the weight and size of the stone. These four together determine a diamond's value and pricing. I think I'm gonna do a part 2 to this because now I want to share with y'all the metaphysical, and I got my crystal book right here, but I know I don't have time. The metaphysical properties of a diamond, because a diamond, just like everything else, is it's a crystal, like a sapphire, like a ruby, like an emerald, like a rose quartz, like black obsidian, like a venturine, a tiger's eye. It's a crystal. And it's actually not the most potent or expensive. It's just the most valued by humans and common. But in terms of like the way they quantify or qualify gemstones, it's actually not the most valuable or expensive. But I think that's everything, y'all. I think the most important thing that I wanted to share is just that we all are queer. It's an honor to be queer. And it was an honor for me to be thought of as gay. So yeah, y'all, that just sent me down a rabbit hole that I wanted to share with y'all. I hope the message found you well. If it did not find you well, I hope it leaves you well. And as more things come to you, I will be formulating the part 2 to this, because I know that I want to share the benefits, the spiritual benefits of diamonds as a crystal. And also, the more I work with this gene key information, because now I'm exploring gene key 14, which is all about prosperity and abundance. One thing about it, when you work with these gene keys, you want to give yourself time to integrate the shift or the change, because you're going to feel it. And if you're on a twin flame journey and it's relative to you and your counterpart, who is your reflection, your mirror, your twin, if you unlock something within their DNA or something that you share, you're going to feel it. It's going to be, you're going to feel a pain in that area. So say if it's the sacral chakra, their worthiness, deservingness, that you're unlocking, or if there's something that y'all share, wounding in, that telepathic connection, you're gonna feel it, and they probably feeling it too. So be mindful of different sensations within your body when you're working with the gene keys, and don't fly through them. Like, give yourself days, maybe even weeks apart to work on them. So yeah, I'll be back to share some of my experience with working with the gene keys as well. But until next time, y'all, peace.